Hi everyone, this is Holly. Last week I went to the thrift store and I got a bunch of glass stuff, and this week I'm going to show you all the awesome things you can do with it. So the first item we have here was this beautiful bowl for $6.50. I thought it had really good bones, and it's very on trend right now, that shape. So when I'm shopping for glass, I just look for shapes. And I took it outside. I used this spray paint and gave it one coat. And this is what it looks like. So for large glass projects, you really do have to use spray paint with primer to get paint to stick. This paint right here, it is an acrylic chalk paint, so it has great coverage, but it doesn't adhere well to shiny surfaces. So here's the hack we did for this one, you guys. I put it on my Lazy Susan and I spun it around and around and around once I got enough of this chalk paint on it. See what I'm doing right there? And I used that brush from the Dollar Tree that's more like little wires, I guess, on purpose. So not a chip brush. You want to look for one that has the nylon wires. Well, they're not wires, they're bristles, but they look more like little mini tiny wires because they leave those wonderful grooves in the paint. And that's what I wanted, because we're going to make this look like a ceramic clay bowl instead of a glass one. So once I did that, I gave it a quick dry because we have to turn it upside down to get the front part. Now here I'm not spinning it around because I want to show you guys, if you don't have a Lazy Susan, you can still do this. You just have to have, so see the Dollar Tree cutting mat underneath? Those slide wonderful on tables. You can just buy one of those and use that to spin it around and around. That's what I did right here, and I'm showing you the result. I think it came up just as acceptable. But now I'm going to go ahead and do the last coat with the Lazy Susan, and we're taking the color beige from Apple Barrel Paint and we're giving it a light dry brush. So I got some areas, you can see it, where it's a little bit too heavy. I just took a baby wipe and I wiped that off to kind of blur it in. It worked perfect. And you just keep dry brushing. You want to make sure you dry brush though, because you're trying to pick up the grooves, and I'll show you up close at the end what that ended up looking like. But you definitely want to pick up the little ridges that there it is, see? I worked so hard to put those in there, so that was meant to be, I guess, defined by the dry brushing. So I did the same thing on the inside of this, same exact thing as the outside, and it came up really, really nice. And for the bottom in the center there, where it's kind of difficult because you can't spin it around, I just took my brush and put it in a circle around and around really quick. And that's what we ended up with right there. And of course, I'm taking my baby wipe, making any corrections, but the technique worked out really beautifully. Next, I just took a little bit more of the white chalk paint and touched up areas again that were too dark, just to make sure everything looked kind of evened out. So I saw these wooden balls online at Amazon, and I thought they were so pretty because I want to fill this bowl up, but they're expensive, and it made me, this is a craft I made for Halloween. It was the top of like a potion bottle. Look at that. And I thought, I've made something like this before just using wax. So I was using these foam balls here, and I figured, you know what, I've got to put something on the top of these to make them smooth. And I totally sat, and thank you to the Dollar Tree lady who was there with me in the aisle. She actually suggested covering them with balloons. I thought that was so clever. Now in hindsight, I will tell you, if I ever do this again, I would use 2 balloons, because unless you want texture, but the styrofoam does kind of, this looks a lot easier than what it was, you guys. It was really hard to get these on, and I kind of pressed in the styrofoam a little bit and made it subtly uneven, I guess. That's a nice way of putting it. And another balloon over that would have made it even smoother and looked more refined and finished, but it still came absolutely gorgeous. I'm just letting you guys know that if you do this, put 2 balloons on them. They're cheap. You could even put 3 if you need to. But definitely get your fingers out of there, because the styrofoam hurts. It scrapes your hands if you don't move it out there quickly. So all I did with the ends here is I just used hot glue. It was on low heat so that it didn't melt the styrofoam. And that's what we end up with right there. It's like a little stitch, and that will be the bottom. Obviously, when you put it in the bowl, you're not going to want to have that up at the top. Put that at the bottom. And now I'm doing my wax. And the trick, the little hack with this one is, after you put some wax on your little ball, spray some water on it, like spritz it, and then use your chip brush and just spin it around and around. It's on a Dollar Tree skewer, and then have some styrofoam. This is free styrofoam I got from a package in the mail that I saved, and I just used that to hold these up. And I did all of them. I did the 3 smaller balls and the 2 bigger balls at the Dollar Tree. I actually would have gotten, I think, all 4 of them. Well, I went in there with the intention to buy 6 bigger balls, but they only had 1 package of the bigger one, so I ended up doing the smaller ones. I'm actually glad I did. The different sizes look really pretty in the bowl, and you'll see that at the end. But we're going to set those aside now to dry. So I was desperate for more balls, you guys, so I took these baseball bats and I thought, you know what, that will work. All the balls are sold out because it's summertime, so we grabbed these, and then I'm using sisal rope to cover it. Now see how I've wrapped the sisal rope up a little bit? I'm pinching it right there with my hand, and then I'm putting some hot glue on the bottom of the sisal rope and putting some on the ball. That is really, really helpful to get it going. Even if you use nautical rope, twine, it doesn't matter. Whatever you decide to cover the balls with, it's really helpful to kind of spin it a bit in a little pinwheel, I guess, so that it, you have a nice big surface to start putting the glue down on, and that way it allows you to kind of tug a little bit better on it. I guess it's more secure in the beginning, and it allows you to get everything nice and tight and fitted so nothing shows in between your twine or sisal rope or whatever you're using. So I went ahead and I took some scissors when I was done with these, and I just trimmed off as much of the little hairy stuff as possible, because with sisal rope it is more like a straw, and so I've actually got almost like a splinter from this before, so I really like to trim it as flat as possible. And then I did use some fire from one of those lighters from the Dollar Tree, and I singed it off. And here's what I discovered, because it did leave a little bit of a black mark on it. Sometimes I don't like singeing because I don't want that look. Well, sometimes I like that look. It depends. If I'm doing something rustic, I love it when it kind of singes it a bit and leaves behind some brown marks. But with this, I didn't want that. And I discovered if you take a baby wipe and wipe it off, it comes right off. So just passing that on in case you guys decide to use sisal rope. I don't think it would work with nautical rope because it's more like a cloth. This is more like a I don't want to say shiny, it's a straw, but it's more plasticky feeling, even though it's not plastic. So the black stuff wiped off. I don't think it would do that with a nautical rope. So that's a little bit of information there for you, just an FYI. And I made a total of 2 of these. So we're all done. I'm going to put it in the bowl here. I absolutely love the way this came out. It looks so high end. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. Next, I grabbed this canister for $4.50. It was the cheapest canister there, and I thought, again, it had good bones, and I knew I could have some fun with this and make it into something really nice. So we are spray painting it again with the same spray paint. And I'm not going to worry, it's a little bit see-through. I only did 1 coat. You can see the markings underneath. I grabbed a coffee can lid and a Dollar Tree plunger. I also have one of these little wooden knobs from the Dollar Tree. I found a package of these there one day, and I thought, oh, I might need those one day. So I went ahead and grabbed it, and it turns out it fits perfectly inside the plunger top. And if you guessed already, that's going to be the lid to this canister. It fits perfectly. I took E6000 because I wanted this to have a really strong permanent hold. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the bottom of the toilet bowl plunger and glue it on the top of the coffee can lid, I guess. That's just Maxwell House, and they all have the same size lids. So if you guys drink coffee, for those of you that are coffee drinkers out there, Folgers, I would imagine anything that has that plastic lid on top that is that bigger size, it was the bigger coffee canister, it will work for this. And that's what we have, and I'm going to set it aside to dry. We're going to take that chalk paint again in cottage white, and we're going to go ahead and give this another coat of paint. I was running low on spray paint. In fact, I did run out actually, so I couldn't do 2 coats on any of these. I was just after getting some primer really on it so that the rest of the stuff would stick. So I set that canister aside to dry, and now the lid is dry. And I decided to go ahead and paint this all black. I'm going to use Waverly chalk paint in the color Ink because it's a really thick chalk paint. Okay, y'all. I just came back from a huge coughing fit. For those of you that watched my video last week, you might remember I said I was getting over a cold, and it has left me with that stupid dry tickle, that thing where you just from talking, it will set you off into a dry cough that you can't stop. By the way, I have a great life hack I would like to share with all of you. I put cayenne pepper in my coffee, and it was amazing for stopping that tickle, like for 15 minutes. I ran out of it. That's why I was struggling again. I had to go get more. But that is fantastic. That is the best thing I have found. It is way better than honey or lemon or water. Kind of just makes it go away for a while. So anyway, I painted this lid black. You could make it faux metal. You could rust it up. You could make it wood. I just wanted to leave it black because I wanted to do something I saw at Hobby Lobby. Here is a free printable that I designed. It's my version of it, but it'll be down below in the description box. Most of you know the drill. You just click see more, or sometimes it says more. It depends what device you're using, and a drop-down menu will appear underneath the video, and the link will be in there, and it will take you to this printable. So what I saw at Hobby Lobby was like a mix, and I've seen it at Home Goods, and I've seen it everywhere that carries different home decor. It was like a mix of vintage and new. I don't know if it's supposed to be for like an industrial farmhouse or a modern cottage, or if just for people who have modern homes that kind of like their kitchen to have some country stuff. I don't know. But I just thought it would be so cute. So I'm taking a glue stick to put this label down because glue stick still is the best. It isn't what you glue it down with that's important. It's what you seal it with. So I know when I first started speaking about this on YouTube 3 years ago, I freaked a lot of crafters out, but it really is the best route to go with the driest glue possible if it works. Seal it with something good. I'm going to seal it with Mod Podge in matte clear acrylic sealer. You could use a clear polyacrylic. You could use something called a clear varnish. Anything will work like that. Just seal it up really good, and we're all done. Let me know what you think. Okay, next stop was actually the Salvation Army. I didn't take you with me to this thrift store because there wasn't a whole bunch of stuff, but I did find this vase. It was gorgeous, and it was only $4.99, and I found several high-end decor pieces that match this shape really well, so I knew I could dupe it. So I went ahead and I decided to do the Crate and Barrel Ophelia Matte Natural Large Vase. It was $99.95. Went ahead and gave this a coat of the paint and primer. Here we go, same drill. And of course I ran out of spray paint. Not important, because we're going to put something on this to hide the fact that it's glass. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and use just the apple barrel paint in white, and I'm going to go ahead and add some baking soda to that. I love this method. I went over this method years ago to show you how to not, make chalk paint. It doesn't help in the least with transparency. So if a paint is really see-through, baking soda ain't gonna cut it. I will say it gives beautiful texture if you want to do a faux cement or a faux ceramic, which is what we're doing today. But the most beautiful attribute of chalk paint, crafting chalk paint in particular, is that you only need one coat. It just has great coverage. So we're going to take a stencil sponge today and tap this on all over this vase. Hey everyone, be sure to follow me on my new Facebook. I do post things there that I don't post on YouTube. I also started a TikTok, so wherever you want to follow me, feel free to follow me. If you have some crafts you want to share, you can do that on Facebook under mentions on that page, and everyone will be able to see it. We have some beautiful stuff, so go check it out, and I will see you over there. Okay, so the next thing we did is the chalk paint. So when this was all dry, I did have to give it one final coat of the cottage white chalk paint just to make sure that there wasn't any transparency and that it was just more even and uniform. So I wanted this to match the first DIY, so I went ahead and used the color Beige Again by apple barrel, and that also matched the Crate and Barrel picture that I saw as well. And you just sponge it on with a stencil sponge or a stencil brush. You just stipple it on, and then wherever it got kind of heavy, again, I added the water. I always have a little spritz water next to it. That seems to really help. And I was taking a baby wipe and wiping it horizontally, because the one from Crate and Barrel does have like a horizontal look to the stippling, I guess. There's some like lines there, so I just kind of wanted to make sure I got that in there. And of course I just do this to the whole vase, and I went as far down as I could on the top inside as well. So just like my pretty bowl, I took some more of the chalk paint and just put that on top, just to kind of make sure I broke everything up and made sure it looked like it was stippled on. And we're all done. See the little lines across there? I think this came out so pretty. So what was missing was this beautiful fake branches here, the faux greenery. I ordered that. You can see I ordered it on Amazon, and here is a picture from one of the customers that bought it. So that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look so pretty in his face. I can't wait to style it that way, but for now, here it is. Here's this super cute little creamer that I found for $2. It ended up having like little engraved vines on the front. I don't know if you can see that right there. That was a nice surprise. This is the one I actually ran out of spray paint, so we had to just go it with the chalk paint. And the chalk paint, I don't know if you noticed, it says acrylic chalk paint. It is not meant for furniture. This is definitely crafting chalk paint, and it's made with a base of acrylic paint, just like apple barrel acrylic paint, so it's not as strong. So when you're in that position like I was, you can go ahead and do it, but you're limited on how many times you can go over it with the wax, because if you keep going over it when the wax starts to dry, which happens pretty quick, believe it or not, when you're trying to do like dry brushing and stuff, it's drying out really fast. If you go over it when it's kind of like semi-wet with more wet wax, you will lift it off the glass. So this is how I go about doing it. I put it on nice and thick, and then I do a quick dry brush with one of these brushes again from Dollar Tree that kind of have the nylon bristles, and I don't go over it more than a couple times, and then I stop. That's it. It's better to wait and let it dry overnight if you need to add to it or whatever, and even better, it's if you have spray paint and you spray paint it, then that won't happen. But anyway, I actually did get 2 new cans in the mail today, so I'm really excited about that. But it used a lot more paint than I thought it was going to use up, so I ran out. But anyway, this came up so cute. You can do it, and again, it's important what you seal it with. I went ahead and sealed it with the Mod Podge, but here it is. This was a neat find too. There's actually 2 of them. You can see it right there for $3.50. I bought both of them, but we're going to do this one for autumn, I decided. Now, normally I would take, sometimes it's a DIY to take glass and make it frosty. So this was already done for me, which was awesome. That's a free printable, those fall leaves that you saw. That will also be down below in my description box. And now I'm taking some tissue paper, and I'm going to print on the tissue paper. For those of you that are new, this is a full tutorial right here. If you have seen this before, go ahead and fast forward through this part, but I get so many people asking me if I don't do this. So I just want to show you really quick. You just take the tissue paper, any tissue paper, it can be the cheap kind. I'm using Hallmark, but it doesn't have to be Hallmark. And you tape it on the cardstock, and you pull it as tight as you can without ripping it, just so there's no wrinkles. You can also bend the tissue paper over the edge of the cardstock and tape it on the back that way if you're more comfortable doing it like that. That also works. But that's it. And then you put it the right side up the way you have to put it in your printer so that it prints on top of the tissue paper and not the cardstock. You might want to run a test paper through just to make sure you've got it right. and you press print and it will go through, print on that side, and you will have beautiful imagery on the side of the tissue paper. So this is basically my Cricut. I use it in place of a Cricut when I am filming because most everyone can participate that way. I have the printables for you. You can recreate it. So I am printing a different image, by the way. This is from another video, but it's a great tutorial. And $26 to refill the cartridges, and it prints 7,000 prints. I print now for under a penny. So if you're interested in this printer, it is down below in my description box. I'm very happy with it. You can see how vivid the colors are. Very pleased. So again, if you're interested, a lot of people ask me, it is down below in my description box, the one that I bought. And I believe it was $169. I got it on sale, so you should wait for it to come on sale because it does come on sale every now and then. So I glued this down and it was not as transparent as I thought it was going to be, and I did not like it. So I end up scraping this off, and I have it in fast motion, but this took me like 2 hours to scrape this off, and then I had to take a nail file to sand off the rest of the glue. Then I squirted water on the back side because I had also glued on the back side. I thought it was going to be totally transparent, but I ended up thinking less was more. It came up beautiful this way. I just loved the subtlety of it. It was just simple and beautiful in its simplicity with its frosty glass. I'm going to do one for Christmas, I think, too. But here's what it looks like if you want to put some fairy lights in it and just light it up. Look how beautiful that is. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can fill it up with some seasonal stuff too. So I glued the lid of a Dollar Tree container on the middle side. I just needed to lift it up a little bit because I'm going to use the Dollar Tree candle to the right there, and I'm just putting fall stuff in it. I didn't have a whole bunch left over, and there isn't any fall stuff yet in my Dollar Trees, so I just used some leaves and pine cones and pumpkins, but you get the idea. You can put whatever you want in there. And then here's the pillar candle from the Dollar Tree, and I just have to say I am very impressed with the way that this burns. It has a nice flicker for $1.25. It is not bad at all. So here we go, we're putting the pumpkins in, and then I'm going to show you how nice the flicker is with the video right here. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm looking at it straight down. Normally you wouldn't, you would just look at it from the side, but it really burns nicely. So really warm, really welcoming, perfect for fall. And then, if you just want to stick with the fairy lights, you can put your fall decor on top of that. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, share the video, like the video, comment. Let me know what you thought. I'd love to read your comments. And as always, until the next one, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.